Hey everybody, welcome to episode 27 of the Hobby Hotline. I'm your pal Val. Now you can find me at NASCAR Radio and running things today, Junk Wax Twins. Stephan, how are you?
Howdy.
How you doing, sir?
I'm all right. A busy week. Had some nice retail finds to talk about later. Last night. And
yes, I was amazed that like you went in the time machine there.
Tell me about it. And we got a fun one planned. So let's jump into it.
Yeah. Not much going on with me this week. I did sell some stuff on checking my cards.
Thanks.
Bogdanovich or whatever.
Bogdanovich? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I had heard about him, I guess it was last fall, listening to one of Gary V episodes. He had an NBA trainer on there, and they were talking about him. So I don't know. I picked him up for, back then they were like 25 cents or 50 cents, and
sure.
They're going for like $8 now. So that was all. I woke up one morning and 11 of them sold all like once within a couple hours. So it's always fun to see.
Oh yeah, it looks like he's off to a decent start this year.
So that's more checking my cards money for my NASCAR stuff.
Well, I mean, anytime you can take what you don't necessarily want, flip it for a profit, and buy what you do want, that's a huge plus. And speaking of CompC and our employees,
hey,
howdy, Rich.
Hey there! I figured I only saw two, so I figured I'd become the triumvirate and be the third for the day. Especially since I'm at the office, I moved in 115,000 more cards today.
Lovely.
So, yes, it was a good morning. Yes, so I had some help, and I had the hand truck, and I've returned the hand truck since the door was open where the hand truck is.
Nice.
And so,
always return your equipment.
Yes, I returned the equipment to the proper people, and I am working on, as Steph and Angela will tell you, they usually end up having to do the hard work, but I'm always working on making space. And we appreciate everybody who says good things. And I don't know if you saw, but one of our upper management at CompC sent out an email last night talking about expanding customer service even more, which is really good to see because we know how many of you care.
Yes. And I know that there's a good bit that they've hired this week. I think overall this month, the email said that we've hired 30 people.
Yeah, we've hired
and looking to hire 20 more.
We've hired 30 people in the last couple of months, and the number just keeps. And there's going to be at least 20 more, if not more, later. I mean, this is one of these questions. The next time I have a session with Dr. Jim, I'll ask him. Frankly, the next time we do a bunch of, how do you handle? Because when I went to Beckett in 1990, we had 50 people. Sure. I was about approximately employee 50. Now, 3 years later, before the hobby contracted a little and things happened, we had 175 people. And I think getting something from somebody like Jim in terms of how did you deal with such an explosion, such a hobby explosion is an interesting topic. And I think that's one of the reasons these shows work so well, is we're dealing with the explosion of a hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, and so, look what we talk about each week, things that are absolutely exploding. And Val, did you ever think you'd see these days again? You've been around a long time.
This I have never seen. I mean, it was hot back in, late 80s where, stuff was just increasing, but now it's like at a multiplier. It's just unreal.
I know it, and I mean, in the 80s, it was like a penny stock market. Now it's a much more expensive stock market. John, since you're talking about CompC, there's a link on the website. Just fill out a resume, send a resume in.
Yep.
and see if there's something available for you. So that's the first thing I would tell anybody who'd be looking on that.
I'm pulling that up right now.
But Uncle Rich, it made me think of so one of the biggest or first years I was heavy into it was '85, and living in New York, being a Mets fan, that Dwight Gooden, I got the magazine and it said it was like $3.50 when a pack was 50 cents. So it was like this massive multiplier if I hit a Gooden, and it was just that's kind of what it is now. If you
hit a Zion or something like that. But what's interesting is the barrier to entry is so much higher nowadays.
Exactly. Do you open a box? A box is $600, $700, $800. That was normally, like $120, and then, or do you hold on to that box and Zion goes up or whatever, and then you sell that box? So.
But not everybody even has $600, $700, $800. Most of the people in the '80s had $15 for a wax box.
Yeah, you can have a side job, deliver papers or whatever. Yeah, that's why I don't collect basketball. But as a NASCAR guy, and don't tell anybody that the prices are still affordable.
No, and I look at some of the NASCAR boxes, and I've opened a couple in racing, and they're loaded with good things. And I'm a big fan of what Panini does with racing. I think they would do the same thing, on an affordable level in every other sport as well. Plus, I think NASCAR is a little different. NASCAR's got a tradition of, we'll call it fan friendliness. The legendary story is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale Earnhardt Sr. every morning before he did anything else would go to his basement whenever he was home and sign 100 to 200 items. Just period. Every day he'd start by signing a couple hundred items. And because he understood how much the fans wanted his signature.
Yeah, if you find Richard Petty, he'll sign. And I follow these guys, some of these guys on Instagram, Twitter, stuff like that, and you'll see photos of them in the room, like on a Monday or Tuesday. They're just signing fan stuff. Even Haley Deegan, she's posted some pictures of some of the mail that comes on, and you can see they use paper clips to attach the cards to the envelope. So, but no, you're right. I think it's massively friendly, and no one really charges for an autograph. But then some people might refuse to sign, but that's always their prerogative since you're not paying for it.
And somebody also pointed out hockey is the same way with the player signing. For the most part, not everyone. Mark Messier was traditionally not a good signer and always not a nice person. But most hockey players, especially the ones that grew up in the farmlands of Canada, tend to be really good signers. They appreciate everything done for them, and I think most of the racers appreciate the fans as well, and that's something different with all the sports.
Yeah, hockey. You're right. Hockey's another one, and of course, I don't know how it is in some of the other tracks. Just back to racing, when you could go to the track, they let you bring in food and drink.
Mm-hmm.
They know you're going to be there all day, and as long as no glass, but it's definitely a party, and I think that's how the sport started. And but hockey is another good one as well, very fan friendly.
Chipping in chat. To that. I definitely.
If he was supposed to be here, send him the link so he can get in.
He's not. But we shot it that way. I
was going to ask about your time machine experience.
Indeed. So last night we went to Target and whatnot to try to get in on some early National Baseball Card Day opening, whether it be Donruss or Topps or whatever we would find, just Topps Chrome. Who knows, right?
You never know.
We have a particular Target picked out it's kind of out of the way. It's in a developing neighborhood and it's near a community college. So for the most part, it's mostly younger people and it's not really scouted well. And we figured we'd try that first. So we get there, and they had 4 boxes, factory sets of 2018 Topps, including 1 All-Star game.
Wow.
Now,
Were they clearance? No, they weren't marked clearance. They were marked regular, right?
they were down $10, so $49.99 from $59.99.
Okay.
But anytime you can find a major set like that, and get a Acuna rookie unopened for a box that retail on eBay to replace now would be $100. Yeah, I'll pick them up for 50.
I got one question, and only probably Uncle Rich can maybe. So when did Topps start designating the cards that are coming out of complete sets?
I think it is 2018. I mean, it's
maybe 2017, but yeah, 2017, 18, somewhere
in the past, 2017. They never used to. The cards looked exactly the same in the 80s. The cards looked the same. The only ever difference was in the 80s, sometimes to some of the big, we'll call them distributors of cards, they would send them sheets, and these people would have the sheets laser cut. And instead of sheet cut at the factory, they'd be laser cut, and you can actually tell the difference sometimes.
Yep.
I noticed that a couple years ago. I either was on eBay looking, and I saw where the card, either said Series 2, maybe it was Alonso, or they said complete, from the set. And I was like, oh, well, that's definitely new to me as someone who's kind of got back into baseball.
Hey, I just wanted to say, see if you guys were celebrating National Baseball Card Day, and if so, how?
Well, hopefully you are with the kid in tow, apparently.
And I'll be going to my 2 local stores, basically at the conclusion of this. Because supporting our local card stores is very important, and I'm definitely going to go to both. And I looked after Steph mentioned about the cards the other night, where Triple Cards was mentioned twice, but I looked, I see Mix was mentioned also as a place, so I'm going to go both of those stores.
They are.
And I don't have to buy any 3200s because the person who donated these cards puts most of them in 3200s, so I'm going to hold off on that so I can buy more cards this week.
Very nice.
Hey, anytime I can spend money for me instead of money just to buy cards, 3200 count boxes, I'm very happy. And as you can see, I certainly have enough cards in here.
No, not at all. It looks like you've doubled up.
Well, you've made a lot of progress. I did clean out the last of those horrible cardboard boxes.
Nice.
Just in time for the new things coming in. So,
of course,
it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, or as the expression goes, or 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
2 boxes in, 4 boxes out. Or
that's about the size of it. But there's always a lot going on in the hobby. I think the biggest news this week, or one of the biggest news, was that Topps isn't going to put rookies into update this year. They're saving all the rookies for Series 1 2021. I mean, Joe Adell got called up. Yeah, he won't be if he'll be an update, he'll be in as a prospect, but he won't be in as a rookie card.
Now you mentioned that made me think of Topps did release the image for next year, right?
Right,
Yes.
And that's what we're talking about with Joe Adell with the RC logo.
Right.
And I think from what I read and going a little deeper is that they will, in update, have some of these guys like Joe Adell, but they will be what they call prospect cards. They will not be in the base set. I guess they were able to work out something because of the unusual nature of 2020. Because at one point they wouldn't ever have been able to do that, but this might be a year that you
bend the rules a little bit.
But they are making the tops now though of some of these guys.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right,
but they're listing those as major league call-ups or something to that effect.
Gotcha.
Not actual rookie cards. No, I just wanted to see about National Baseball Card Day because I'm excited to go and check it out. I'm taking a buddy that used to collect a long time ago that's been out for a while. We're doing that, but I celebrated last night checking out Sport Lots, and people at Topps Chrome listed already, and there's some smoking deals to be had. People are complaining about box prices on Chrome and people wiping out shelves of Chrome. If you're trying to build a base set or you're trying to pick up your players, I would suggest checking that out because I spent like $10 last night and picked up a few Jordan rookies and a team set for the Giants and the Royals for about $10 or $11 shipped. So
Not bad.
not at all. I was pretty excited, and I have a box of Chrome coming today, but I'm going to decide what to do with it because at the $265 or $70. Like, that's kind of a crazy price for Chrome. Even at 150, Chrome is it's a bit much for Chrome. So we'll see. I just want to say what's up, guys, and have a good day.
Thanks.
So before
Thanks,
you bounce,
Happy
Timothy,
National Card Day.
And Tim, we just want to say we're sorry about the loss of your beloved pup.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, everybody's been so kind the last couple of days, sending out messages and stuff, and we do really appreciate that. So you guys have fun today, and I can't wait to see what you guys get.
2 questions for you, Tim.
Yeah, what's up?
1, which shop are you guys heading to?
I'm hoping to hit up Teammates sometime this morning.
Teammates? All right. And 2, given my factory hobby box find, do you hold or sell?
I would hold one of, you got an all-star and a couple of the regulars, right?
Yep.
I would sell a couple of the regulars and hold one all-star and hold one regular. Those all-star ones are pretty tough to find usually, especially for that year. And then, see what happens, especially with Acuna being in there and Ohtani and, Torres and those other guys. So
that's kind of what I was thinking. Cool.
All right,
well,
guys,
enjoy your day.
Today. You too.
Good talking with you.
As always. Now, that said, someone did mention it in chat, and I wanted to bring this up. What do you guys think about this nice and shiny that was pulled recently? As I get it pulled up here. Boop, 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 boop. Beep, boop. Computers are working.
So, but are we talking about the Louis Bobby or whatever we call him, the super refract, the
Lubob.
The Lubob.
So to speak, yes, the Superfractor has been pulled. Superfractor Auto, as it were.
Okay, well, it's obviously going to sell for a decent amount of money. I'm surprised. Has anybody put a bounty on that one?
I don't believe
you get a card like that, somebody will have a bounty already existing.
That usually comes from Blowout, but I think he blew all his money on that 86 clear case for like 1.8 million.
That's a lot of money. On a different level, I was glad when I saw Steve Hart's post because Steve had a battle with the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
And I was glad to see Steve was healthy enough to make the trip to see it. So, skipping how much on 1.8 million is, let's be happy that Steve Hart beat the coronavirus and is back to being healthy.
Yeah, he's one of the icons in the.
And he's a really good guy. He's a really good guy too. I actually went to his store on one of my Beckett show trips way back in the day, and he was really advanced in those days and things he was doing. And I think he's got a great niche for himself. And he even does some retail again. He has a store again. And
well, his table or his spot at the National is a must. Anybody going there?
The sales he runs every day during the National are a lot of fun too. He always runs. I think last year was one day was Mark McGwire PSA 8s for $10. That was just a fun card to get. The rookie card, not the 87.
But I think back to your original thing, I don't think there is a bounty, or I have not heard of a bounty on.
I don't believe so.
So that card, that'll be interesting because if they're putting that up in auction, then that'll be interesting to see what the true, and you never know for sure, but what the true market value will be, and that'd be really cool to see something without a bounty that has true market, to see what the true market value will settle at. And I think that's kind of fun, but I don't want to put it down around things, but until they settle, I know that Steph's partner, or one of his partners, the other partner in the weekly show, always talks about over exuberance. Now with the $600 extra a week going away, and we're a while from our next stimulus check, will that put any dent in this business? Because one of the studies has shown that the people working were pocketing money and not spending it on the people who were getting the extra money was actually spending more money than they usually spent, which is an interesting dichotomy. You would think that if you're not having a guarantee for how long it's going to last, that you'd be more prudent with your money. But I'm going to be interested to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I had the same thought actually about now that that 600's kind of run out until it gets replenished is what that's going to do for the hobby. So we will see. But
see, when he started on one of my partners, I thought you were referring to this one.
No, she's Saint Angela. We never say anything bad about Saint Angela, the producer of these shows. When we were cleaning up the office, I used to call it Project Angela, so she would have a place to sit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always cognizant of making sure she has a room to sit in when everybody gets to get back to the office, which I hope is sooner rather than later, because I miss you guys.
Oh, of course.
So I know we talked about it, but I was wondering if it's all right if I read some of this about the National Baseball Card Day. Just for folks who might not be familiar with it. So this is from like the top sites. So it says, join us on August 8th for the National Baseball Card Day and celebrate the hobby of card collecting. To commemorate the occasion, Topps is giving away packs of cards in hobby shops across the country. The fun continues at participating retail outlets with a special gift with purchase. Visit your local hobby and retail shops to participate. So celebrate at hobby shops. Participating stores will give away a special pack upon entry. Receive 2 additional cards with the purchase of $10 or more. Week 1, August 8th, is Pete Alonso. Week 2, August 15th, is Jordan Alvarez.
Yep.
Check back for a list of participating hobby. But then also, if you don't have an LCS, local card shop, you can celebrate at Target and Walmart. Receive a special pack inside 2020 Chrome hanger box and special offer for Topps Fire. That's at Target. And then in Walmart, receive a special pack inside 2020 Chrome hanger box and special offer for Topps Gallery.
Interesting.
And I will say that if you go to Topps.com, there is a list of participating dealers.
There is.
So you just click on it, and for once it was something easy to open. So that was good to see. So if you're fortunate enough to be by an LCS participating, by all means go spend the $10 on Topps product, get extra stuff. Maybe 3 years ago, I had a card show the day of National Baseball Card Day, and I stopped at Triple Cards because it's literally on my way home from where I was running the show. Mm-hmm. And this is when Wax was exploding 3 years ago, and he had like nothing left. So it's a very popular promotion. So yeah, it's nice that everybody gets to give back on those.
Yeah, it's a 30 card base set, and then there's also autographs randomly inserted in there, which I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. And then you have the bonus Pete Alonso, Mike Trout, and Jordan Alvarez are the 3. So that's really cool. And I think what Ben was doing was not Ben, Tim was doing was bringing a former collector. So, if you have some buddies, it gives you, you can share the hobby with some of your buddies.
And I mean, outside of the 2 promo, one this week, one the week after, bonus cards, unlike any other Topps product of the year, there's 1 card for each team. So you won't have 4 Yankees when you open up the pack.
And I will point out that, the term free cards is kind of an oxymoron, but I still, in my memory, I still remember that when we had the 95 Fan Fest here in Dallas, and Pinnacle did a 30 card set for it. And all during the show, people would be lined up, sitting on the floor, just trading the cards, working on their sets. And so it was one of, considering where the hobby was going in 95, which was not exactly in a positive trajectory, it was good to see that, hey, if you give somebody something, they'll work on completing their sets. It was a really good thing to say, we're not dead yet. We're still a hobby. We're still able to do things, and we're still able to bring enjoyment. So there's a lot to be said for that.
That link that I posted has the link to all participating shops. The PDF file, easily searchable by state, by country, and you can see who's participating in your area, hopefully.
Or if you have a Target or Walmart.
As he was saying, or if you have a Target,
I actually got to stop in a Walmart to get some things that are not card related. So I'm sure there'll be no cards left, but I will pick up other things. I've got to get price stickers and dog stuff. So, but I'll stop at the card section since I'm in there. Why not? I'll probably end up with the same thing I ended up with last time, which is the 35 count heritage boxes, which for me is fine. For anybody else would be, why are you doing this?
Sure.
So what else is going on that y'all was all on your prep sheet for this week?
Well, naturally, we had National Baseball Card Day, and we had some banter stuff. I did open 2 boxes from a shop that I haven't been to in a while. Speaking of supporting your local shops, one of ours in the Arlington area got bought out, and then they remodeled and switched buildings, and they remodeled again. Super nice, much bigger spots. They have a Rod Crew signed jersey that I'm saving up for that I didn't know about. But, of course, going to a new shop, and not from a case that I've bought from before. I picked up a box of Diamond Kings. Nothing fancy this time.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
A Alonso Jersey King and a Michael Baez auto dual relic. And then, for once, since I couldn't find any retail, a box of Topps Holiday. Which I did pull a few of the parallels, nothing super special on the relic. I am talking about play ball. And a Luis Ariz rookie, so I can't complain.
And Brad is currently at one of our local card shops, Triple, as he's listening to us. So, hi, hey Lawrence, hey guys. I hope you're having a great day. I'll see you all in a few hours. You don't have to sell me any 3200s today.
We should be heading up that way just to hop in on Triple.
You want to call me while you're on the road and we can do lunch?
We'll do that.
Okay, sounds like a deal.
There we go. Well, no, it's not that new. I think they'd moved to that building a year or so ago. Or when?
May of last year.
May of last year, she says. So probably April or February. But it was just driving all the way up to Plano, we don't exactly make it out to Arlington.
Well, Arlington's a lot easier from where you are than Plano.
Almost definitely. 10-minute drive.
On the other hand, Plano's a lot easier for me than Arlington.
10-minute drive.
And from my house, Triple's less than 3 minutes away, I think, if there's no real traffic. So, I mean, you talk about a local card shop, that's truly a local card shop.
Oh, definitely.
No, James, we're okay. I mean, these boxes, we've been very careful. Steph and Angela have done most of the packing of it. So Steph actually has experience at UPS, so I trust how he packs boxes.
Worked at UPS doing unload and load, as well as a regular. Plus, I played a lot of Tetris and Jenga. So, yes. Rich is covered.
Yes, I think we're fine. And plus, I leave. Yes, I leave it far away, but. To give credit where credit is due, yesterday afternoon about 4:00, I went to a local dealer / collector by the name of Wendell Bell, who's been giving us cards. He had bought a huge load. He makes one pass through and then he donates us the rest. And he had a load ready for us, and I picked it up from him yesterday. So we're very appreciative of Wendell, because I will tell you that, we talk about the market being hot in terms of this. Believe it or not, this stuff is hot too.
Sure.
People are actually asking me, what are you doing with all your, because we're probably near $2 million cards in inventory. And that's enough for all the junk wax, all the junk overproduced people. And most of this, frankly, isn't junk overproduced. That's how hot it is, that even what we used to call scrap cardboard is on fire right now. And I never thought I'd see the day again.
Well, and you got to think that, people like Tim or similar people of that age, if they haven't already came back to the hobby, that's probably what they want to collect. They want to finish their 1991 Fleer set for some reason. They want to finish their 89 tops. They want to finish their 87 tops with the second year McGuire. So I can definitely understand that would have a huge boom. A second boom, if you will.
Yeah, it's fascinating that we're having this, and it fits what we used to call the 20-25 year rule. People came back to the hobby. I don't know if Val ever left or not, but Val's of the age where he talks about 85. If he left, he's of the age where, hey, I'm back and I remember these cards, and now they're even more affordable than they were when I was a kid.
Yeah, I left the hobby a little bit. Or I probably changed sports, and then left the hobby maybe for a little bit, but then came back. Actually, I guess it was the late '90s, maybe, but the 2000 Fleer Tradition football brought me back. It was that old stock, and we had gotten the Panthers in Charlotte, and they were doing very well. So, and then getting that whole vintage kind of feel, and then Topps was coming out with Heritage, and they were doing they did football as well, I believe.
They did Heritage I think they've even done basketball Heritage too, and hockey Heritage. I'm not positive, but I've always been a big Heritage fan ever since it began.
Yeah, and they did in hockey too with was it 54, 55, or Gordie Howe first year Topps thing. So that kind of brought me back in, and then I collecting and like I said, moving around sports, and then in the mid 2000s, I kind of went all in with NASCAR or started dabbling in graded cards, and then I guess it was 2010 when we got the NASCAR Hall of Fame here in Charlotte. It was kind of all in on NASCAR. So,
and Val. Is it because it was in Charlotte? You have other sports in Charlotte. You have college basketball in North Carolina. You have the NBA in North Carolina.
Yeah, well, I did, dabble with basketball as well. I talk about buying the 86 Fleer. The guy, one of the local card shops, it was missing 2 packs, which now turns out probably were the Jordans. But I bought a box, I think it was $18. And this was probably 89, 90 before it got super hot. But there was a Jordan in it, so I made numerous money on that. But I did pick up basketball and do some of the Fleer basketball kind of thing. So yeah, when we got the Hornets, but then actually, I don't know. I'm probably one of the only people in Charlotte or in North South Carolina who doesn't like college basketball, and
that's sacrilege there.
I know. Don't tell anybody. And where was I going with this? We drafted Kobe and the Hornets, and he left, refusing to play. So I immediately was not a Kobe fan and pretty much was done with basketball, kind of because of, not necessarily because of Kobe, but not to bore everybody, but George Shinn and the rest. He put a great team to make the playoffs, but never a deep run. They got rid of Alonzo when it came time to pay him, and Larry Johnson when it got time to pay him, and they always did great in the draft. They always got a better pick than they should have, but he didn't want to pay him, so the Hornets really never went deep. So,
and that's kind of after last night's performance. That's kind of what I'm hoping happens in hockey. In that, with our elimination last night, the Wild are guaranteed either the 1st or the 9th pick in the overall draft. Obviously, I'm pulling for 1st overall with Lafreniere. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Find out soon enough. Just a game-changing talent that hopefully comes to Minnesota.
Val, Val, you said something interesting though, about what you chose to get into, and was that because, I'm not going to talk about return on investment, but it's more like, did you see that, hey, these are undervalued compared to other things, so there's a chance to dig in and say, I can get more bang for my dollar by going into NASCAR instead of, we'll call it, quote, one of the major sports?
Yeah, actually, I had built a 1969 Topps set by hand, and actually had some really good cards that graded high. I guess some PSA 9, and sold some of that because I didn't really collect NASCAR when like 88 Max and some of that stuff. So I saw an opportunity, and actually I haven't really talked about it much, but I pretty much got into a find that, I don't know if it's considered like a 52 Topps find, but for NASCAR, the 1989 Winner Circle. I'll have to talk about it.
That's a tough set.
Yeah, I found about 12,000 cards.
That's probably more than anybody else has ever had in the world combined, other than the printing press.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of research on those. But to your point, I saw something where they were very cheap, I still got the collecting bug and collecting whatever you want to call it, thrills. And there wasn't a lot of research or a lot of information on it, so I had to do some digging. I had to look through old Beckett's old magazines, which was a lot of fun, and research stuff. And I saw somebody talk about the comments about like with NASCAR. So I found out that the 1972 STP was like one of the first sets, but there wasn't a lot of information around about it. So I was watching one of these Richard Petty documentaries, Petty Blue, and we were getting the Hall of Fame around that time, and so I'm watching it, and they talk about how Andy Granatelli wanted Richard Petty to paint his car red, STP color, but it was blue, and so he was going to walk away from the deal if they painted it red. But anyway, so I'm like, well, it says STP, compliments of STP on the back. They had to have something to do with it, and it had to have been Andy Granatelli. So I started doing some more digging, and I sent him a letter asking him if he knew, about when they came out and some other stuff. And he sent a letter back to me, and I was able to find the cards at a decent price. 1972's got Richard Petty's rookie and the rest of them, and you could pick them up for about $100 at the time, and get them autographed. And there's a lot of other drivers in there as well. And the next set's not until 1983 Uno. And I can talk about all that, but it was really cool to research it, find out information about it through Beckett and some of these other ones, and then kind of chasing it down. Not that I was the first person to do it, but it's kind of because it was all in print, it was all kind of forgotten because of the technology age. So I was kind of bridging that gap, if that makes any sense.
No, there were almost no card sets. I mean, I know I see Kins in the chat. I think there's some sets from I think there's one or two sets from pre-war, and then there's a couple of other sets, but there's almost nothing before Max in 1988. I mean, it's like a piece of cake to at least figure out what's existing. And
exactly right. So it's not like when Jim Beckett was putting all this stuff together with all that crazy stuff. It was like I said, the 72 STP, and maybe that was like the first NASCAR, and that was just a giveaway throughout the tracks. And I think it was like 71, but 83 Uno, and there's a couple other ones, 85, 86 Sports Star Photographics with Rayman. But then to your point, the 88 Max was the first one to actually have it in cello packs, and that was Jim McCullough, I believe. He was a sports announcer on one of the Charlotte stations, and he saw how the baseball market was going crazy, card market, and put in for a license for NASCAR trading cards. And that 88 Max just was super crazy red hot and had some variations, so it was like hit the perfect sweet spot for collectors.
Well, and I've told the story, and somebody told it to me, and I don't remember who it is, but it was a racing person, or a person who knew Jim apparently. And Jim in 88 Max was from a P.O. box, and he goes to the P.O. box, and there's one postcard in there, and he's thinking, oh my God, this is the biggest failure in the world. And they see him come in, and they say, oh, we're glad you're here. We need to talk to you. And they have these bundles of bags. This is all for you. And I think at that point he realized, I have something here. So.
Yeah, I talked to Logan King at King NASCAR on Twitter. He's also on the PSA set registry. I met him at one of the PSA registry lunches, and we became really good friends. But getting information from him, and I think he said he bought his first set at the track because they have all the haulers and stuff. So he got a factory set and didn't open until the way home. And I think his wife was reading out the names of the drivers and the cards in the Max set, and it was just incredible. I filled a huge hole.
Yeah, I mean, and so all the sports went through that, but NASCAR is fascinating to me that way because as fan-friendly as the sport is, I'm amazed nobody really did cards earlier. Now, I think they have the same trouble some other sports have. I'm a tennis guy. I did stats at the U.S. Tennis Open for about 7 years in the 80s, and there are no real tennis sets because you have almost the same problem with NASCAR that you do with tennis and with some other sports. It's a traveling thing. So you're not, it's not like, okay, every, the Mavericks and the Stars are playing 40 games in Dallas. The Rangers are playing 80 games. The Cowboys are on TV every Sunday for 20 weeks. 4 preseason and 16 regular season games. And I'm just using Sunday. I know they play all over the week. There's no stable home. And I think that's always been one of the issues also with some of these other sports is that they're traveling sports. They're not at one location. And I think the bubble has made things interesting because now a lot of these sports are at one location and we can't get to that location. And the cards are still popular.
Yeah, the one thing with NASCAR is they have we call them hero cards, the handouts, and that's been around since I guess the late '60s, early '70s, and I think maybe the trading cards, didn't get popular until the mid '80s with the National and stuff like that. But quickly, the Ray Mann, who kind of invented the handout that they use in Indy and NASCAR, but he did a placemat, and so I think he thought that was going to be his thing, and so it was laminated. It was large, 16 by 11, and he also produced the 85 and 86 Sports Star photographics, and they were in like Ziploc bags for $3, and so there's no wax packs or whatever, or they were incentives to buy the placemats, but he tried with the cards, but nothing organized like Topps and the rest of that stuff in the 80s.
So do you agree with Ken in that some of the problem is with the unions and having to negotiate with driver and team and sponsor issues?
I think that was probably it back in the day. I agree with Ken on that. That's one of the problems tennis has. Everything is player driven. Boxing, everything's player driven. Anything that's not a league. One of the reasons Topps has the MMA contract is everything goes through Dana White.
Sure.
So the boxers are all part of the league. So you can get all the MMA people through Dana White. But in in tennis, I'll just say you couldn't get the players through the ATP or the WTA. They're all individual because you have to pay Roger Federer more money. And I'll be back in a second. Let me talk to my wife.
Sure.
Well, one thing is, like with NASCAR is like when they did the Panini Instant, that not only have to negotiate with the driver, but then also the sponsors that are on the uniforms and stuff. So when they did the Panini Instant, it would take them about a couple of days to get the okay for the photograph, okay from the sponsor and stuff like that. So.
And I think that's what he's adding there is that, it's still a long approval process versus just handing it off to the MLBPA, for example. They
tried to create a union back in the day, but Bill France did everything he could to kind of bust that up. So, and actually it was like a union for the drivers. So he became a driver so that he could join the union and find out what's going on.
And nobody want to see that. So a question from chat just answered. Why is he not in the hot tub? Hey, Brad, how's it going?
I think he's out looking for some cards.
Wow, no, I was just got out of triple and thought I'd say what's up. Was over at Nick's a little earlier. They opened a little later, so I thought.
So do you have some?
Yeah, I did actually. I
have you opened a pack? I was gonna say yeah. They look nice from the All right. So it's a regular paper stock, no chrome or anything.
Yeah. And then this is what I've been searching for today. So.
The Alonso, nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I need to go today to Grand Slam in Rock Hill.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Pete, so
very nice.
I've been searching for it. What's up, Rich?
Hey, Brad.
You just missed it. He's showing the National Card Day pack and the Alonso.
Oh, very nice. And you got the Alonso, so you spent the $10. Good work.
It's a pretty card.
Right.
Now go to Nick's and spend $10 more and you'll get another Alonso card.
One to keep, one to sell.
One to keep, one to sell, or one to keep and one to give away to somebody. And by the way, as we say, I really like the content you put into your blog. And when I do your podcast, your content is, as you explain each step, what you do is very good. I think a step by step of a beginner is something almost nobody's done yet. So I think that's a good way for a lot of people learning to make the decision. And are you still working through that big collection you bought?
Oh my gosh, yes. So my wife doesn't make me do anything because, but she made me promise that I had to catalog everything before I could start selling. So there's still some cards on the floor. It was about, I'd say, maybe 15,000 cards altogether, and I'm trying to dig through it as much as I can. The collection is incredible. It goes from 78. Yeah, it goes from 78 all the way to 94 or 95. So there's just so much there.
I see a 67 there.
Blast.
Is that Ron Herbal, maybe? Looks like a giant.
There's not a lot of football, but there's some football, there's some basketball. I'm gonna have to come to you for it. There's some 60s cards. They're really rough, but I can't. I don't know what they are. So they're.
Well, I'll look at anything for you, and also, my guess is Steph seemed to think it was a Ron Herbal card. So, but we'll take a look, and that's the case. It's just a basic Topps card then. But I'll look and we'll show you. Come on up to the office one day.
Sure.
Okay.
And go from there. As you can see, I've got plenty of cards in the office.
Speaking of junk wax, I wanted to show this. Which way do I need to go?
Oh, what 91 variety did you come up with now?
A little bit of both. But if you can see, so here's a darkened and here's a light. I don't know where the camera is.
Yeah, there you go. Slide down a little bit.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So what you can see, even though it's quote unquote junk wax, there's always something new to find, wherein some are shinier than others.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the famous 91 glow in the dark, 91 Topps glow in the dark backs. If, as I've always said, if you ever want a real challenge in doing a master set, 91 Topps baseball, the height of the overproduced era, you might never finish that set. There's an oil can Boyd card that's really difficult, and there's a couple others. And yes, 30 years later, we are still finding variations in 91 Topps.
Well, between the known printing errors where they changed the piping to the UV stuff that was recently found a couple years back to the dark backs versus lighter backs versus the Topps Desert Shield Edition. I mean, there's just always something to find.
And don't forget, there's Tiffany and there's Mini. I mean, if you really want to do 91, actually it's micro 91, not Mini. But if you want to do an interesting collecting challenge, 91 Topps. You'll get the 792 cards very, very reasonably. But if you want to do all the variations, it could be a lifetime project.
There might be more cards than that than Topps Tech in 98.
Topps Tech has 8,100 cards, and I actually knew a couple people who posted on the Beckett message boards. They finished it. I mean,
and 91 OPG.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was way back in the day, and they didn't even want anybody to know who they were. And I said, look, we won't publish your address. We'll just say you finished the set. And that was something Topps missed and we don't want to talk about Topps and bad marketing because this is 20 years ago. But Upper Deck had the big thing when they did the 6,000 card Yankee set or however many cards it was. If you're the first to complete it, you'll have a card in the next set, and you'll get the publicity. Meanwhile, Topps Tech, 8,100 cards. Hey, that's a real challenge to finish, but no contest to finish the set. Could you imagine how much they would have really driven sales in those days by having a contest to be you're the one to finish the set?
Now, you say that, Uncle Rich. I remember Allen and Ginter. They were puzzle cards or whatever that you had to solve.
The code cards. And yeah. And some of the code cards are different borders than the regular cards. It's fascinating to see.
Yeah,
So, Rich,
I
actually
hated
have
that they kind of got rid of that.
I'm always a
actually have
big
an
fan.
interesting question for you.
What's up?
What's up, Brad?
So, in 1986, I'm noticing when I'm digging through my 86s and tops, there are so many different colored browns.
Reds
They're
too.
not all one color brown. Why? Was it just the ink different onto the paper, or does it mean anything, or it's just so weird?
It may have been
College
just during the
baseball?
print. It may be during the
Yeah.
printing process. Colors do fade. You know, if you look at older cards, you'll see there's different coloring too. You
Yeah, in
know, color,
'86, they let that printer go for a long time.
Yeah, I've got it over. I think just 7,200 in 87 tops. And as I was digging through them, there's so many different colors. There's a really light brown, and then a really dark brown, and then so I didn't know. I must be talking
So
about the 87.
you got an orange, you got a dark red. It's
It
an
must be
86.
the 87 that I'm talking about. The wood grain ones.
that's
Oh,
80.
that's '87. Yeah.
Okay,
And
sorry about
87
that. No
printed
wonder
even
y'all are
more
looking
than
confused.
and 87's printed even more than 86. They may still be making 87s.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, that was the hype. Well, not the hype, but they made a lot of that.
Well,
Yeah,
and you have that with 62 and 68 as well, where sometimes they're brighter, sometimes they're darker. And I think I'd reached out to Vosbrink at VOSSBRINK on Twitter to ask about that because he works in the printing business, or did or does. And he essentially said, when you're printing out papers and the print starts to run out, if they don't catch it in time at a certain 25%, 30%, whatever's left on the printing whatnot, you start to get some of that slightly lighter, slightly lighter, slightly lighter, slightly lighter, because there's just less ink available for the press to go through and stamp each and every single card that comes through the printing press.
Well, think about
Okay.
62. Think about 62 tops. You have what they call the green tints between 110 and 196. And there's a couple you can't really tell the difference, but most of those are pretty obvious. And we don't know because Topps didn't really keep any good records. So we're trying to make this all from deducing 50, 60 years later.
Sure.
That were they using two different printers, or was it Steph said that it's that they did, that their coloring was off? I mean, there are mistakes all over. They even changed some of the photos between the green tint to the regular. Wally Moon has changed.
Babe Ruth has an infamous one.
Has not changed, but it's very obvious. Billy Heft. I mean, there are some interesting. Bill Kunkel has a pose variation. Eddie Yost has so it's Kunkel, Yost, and Moon with the pose variations. And it's interesting. Why did they do that? Because was it trying to get people to buy more cards by having pose variations? We don't know. We'll never know that one. There's no paper from that era.
Pretty much.
So I thought of this the other night, and since we're talking about the 87s, right, and 62s, that there was 25 years difference between those two, right?
Yeah.
So 25th carries, an anniversary. Do you think we'd see another, wood border in Topps?
I'd love to see.
That'd be awesome.
I'd love to see another wood border in Topps. I mean, we do see the 87s reprinted, it seems, in archives every year, but I'd love to see a base set with the wood border. I'd love to see, Heritage is at 16 years from now from doing Heritage, so I think we can speed up the process and have one done before Heritage shows up in 16 years, which is 2036, by which time I hope to still be living.
Don't we all?
Yes. Yeah, I think I'll send out. I'll take 2 or 3 of them and put them out on Twitter, because it's really like there's a stark, huge difference between them. So I didn't know if it was done on purpose or not.
No, I think Steph has the right answer with the printing, and when you're making that many cards, you're not paying attention to a large extent.
Yeah.
You're just printing. That's also why you have off-cut cards. That's why you have things like that. You just don't, when you're cranking that much out, you don't pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, think about the guys on the press line, right? They're watching it and making sure the print's filled and everything else, and guy goes to lunch, comes back, missed it. So I don't think there's any kind of conspiracy or anything done on purpose back then anyway, because I think they turned it on and then turn it off in October.
Yeah, it was just that in those years they were printing the base set literally all year long. I mean, we would, as he said, you would begin in October and you'd end in October, and then you start printing 88 and 89.
Yeah,
by 91, I think they'd announced that they were printing 4 million of each individual card.
You can go to Sam's Club and get a whole wax case of that stuff back then.
Right, turned it off.
And people were lined up. We didn't have Sam's in New Jersey, but we had BJ's Wholesale or something like that. And the dealers would line up when they knew the new cards were coming to buy the cases so they could bring them to their stores. Because there were no differences. We talked about the complete sets. The cards that complete set. In those days, there was no difference. It was the same card. So you would go, you'd buy they were maybe $10 each at the BJ's Wholesale in New Jersey, and you'd bring it back to the store and it'd be $15 to $20 a box. And it's what your customers wanted, so you went and bought them. Yeah. And it was and as I pointed out at the beginning of the show, it was a low barrier to entry to anybody who wanted to get into the business too. Even vintage was a lot cheaper in those days, but
yeah, the set goes from it's not only just tops, it's tops, and I'm thinking it's tops, Fleer, and Donruss from 74 to 95, 94. But when I was digging through it to go back and to see the history, if you ever get a chance to do it, just to actually just see the history of the cards from 74 to the 90s, I was just like, this is so, just the enjoyment of looking at the cards of those card manufacturers through the history and seeing that crazy late 70s all the way into the 80s and then into the 90s. It was a treat. It was really a treat to take a look at something like that. I'm kind of I hate to say it, a history nerd when it comes to cards. I enjoy it. I don't know a lot, but I sure do enjoy, looking at it and whatnot. So.
Oh, well, and don't forget the score that you have on the floor and the pinnacle in the background, 92, 93.
And you can see that the hobby, the printer, the card manufacturers made quantum leaps once Upper Deck began in 89 and did their car. Upper Deck took the world to a whole new level when they did the cards they did in 89. Score added one step with the photos on the back that had been done before, but not the way Score did it. And then Upper Deck exploded it in 89 with the heavier card stock and the really good photos front and back. And then everybody started going to premium and then super premium, 90s Leaf, 91 Stadium Club. 92 Bowman was the first really, 89 to 91 Bowman was normal stock. 92 Bowman was shorter printed and better stock. You just those 4 years, you can see the difference.
I love the Fleer Ultra.
Fleer Ultra, those cards haven't held up well. They're kind of, for lack of a better phrase, filmy or something. They don't feel like a normal.
Must be the UV coating or something.
Yeah, but I haven't dug through the Fleer or through the Donruss, or not the Donruss, the Fleer or the Upper Deck yet. But that's the rest of it. I've at least got it cataloged and whatnot. But that's the next project, just to go through that area you were looking at right there, Steph, and to go through that history.
Is that Pete Semino I see? Is that the 80? I thought it was Ron Herbal, but that looks like Pete Semino on the floor of the 87, the 67 card. I could be wrong, but that almost looks like Pete Semino.
That's it. That stack right there. I don't
That's
have a clue what
67.
that is.
That's 67
Yeah,
top.
that's 67.
Yeah, there's about 10 or 11 of those.
Okay, simple rule of thumb is that if you happen to have any cards numbered over 534 in that set, I mean, there are some cards that are triple printed than in those last series, but if you happen to see anything over 534, pull those out separately immediately.
Nice hike,
Okay.
a nice error cut there.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, sweet
Yeah.
Lupinella. I recognize that. I love the error cuts. There are people who collect stuff like that, believe it or not, Brad. There are people who. Oh, speaking of that, Steph, I found all those 12 cards that Kin pulled for you all those years ago,
Oh, perfect.
and they're sitting at home for you. Someday I have to remember to bring them for you, but I pulled them
Sure.
out wherever they were in, and they're ready for you. So Kin,
Awesome.
I did find those cards for them. I know it's a long time for them to get it.
Nice current announcer for the Twins.
Yeah.
Yes, he is good. Bert Lee Holmblylevin. I saw an 80 Topps Bob Horner second-year card in that stack. I see 86 Fleer. I also see we've hit the hour mark and we've had a fun discussion. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say the Korean Cardboard said would love to see the 87 Dunruss reprint set. And I was going to say that in NASCAR, the Dunruss series, they've actually started doing a section of the cards in like 84 Dunruss, 85, 86. So that's really cool as a NASCAR guy to see the Dunruss set, that I collected. I guess when I was a teenager. So
and Donruss does that in their Donruss baseball set as well. Panini does that. They do the same thing. They'll have we'll call it variations in one of their traditional years. So they've done that in that sport as well.
Yeah, I think they're up to 86 this year, so 87 will be next year.
Yeah, so you'll see
awesome.
87 Donruss in baseball next year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
the decade's best Pete Rose error that Topps has out now. Actually found the originals buried in some of that. So the original turn back the clocks, the original all that's in there. It's just fascinating to go through. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
So
it's a lot of fun and not too expensive.
And
it was relatively inexpensive to do that. I still got hours worth of stuff to go through.
And there's something to be said for the fact that not everything's $100 boxes. There's a very nice market in the affordable world as well. That's one of the reasons I personally miss shows. Is I tend to be an affordable dealer and I tend to be an affordable buyer. And that's the type of things you can't always sell on eBay. You can't always move. Somebody mentioned Brian Gray's going to be on Sports Card Live tonight. Just as a note, I will be on the 26th on Sports Card Live as well. It'll, nice. Jeremy's really cool. And, but when Brian Gray talks about the market, he doesn't talk about the nuts and bolts of the market. He's playing in a different level than many of us. He's playing in the high-ended grade because Leaf does a lot of times a buyback of that, so he knows what's going on in that market. But there's nothing wrong with, I'll call it the nickel, dime, quarter, 50-cent dollar market. But that's really one of the great things about shows is we're missing that right now. They're still existing, but we don't. That's an underserved market in today's world. That's why ComC, as busy and as backlog as we are, is so good because that serves that market more efficiently than almost anything else.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go, to your point to the shows, 88 Topps football wax boxes, pick them up at the show so you don't have to pay all that money for shipping.
Exactly. Yeah. And there'll be a big show in Dallas in 2 weeks, and we do hope everybody wears their mask when they go there. And the last time it was a little cooler, so the load in and load out door was open both Friday and Sunday, so that helped generate a lot of extra air coming in. So I hope we're able to do something like that again.
Well, I hope you guys were able to pull that one off. We were supposed to have one in Charlotte, and they canceled the venue.
Without going into politics, let's just say that show is located in Collin County, and Collin County, Texas, is a conservative bastion. And they tend to let things go a little bit more than The Dallas area or the Houston area, it tends to be a little more, hey, have a free run up here.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing everybody. I hope we can all plan on get together. And,
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put in the show together or something. I'd really look
I will
forward
tell
to
you,
that.
Brad, have you ever been to that show?
Yes, I love Kyle's
So
shows.
there's
They're
tons of places. There's tons of places to have lunch across the street.
Yep, there is.
There's tons of places. Just remember, unless you're going to be carrying large loads, park across the street too, so you don't have to spend the $12 to park. Just a public service announcement. Unless you're going to be lugging cases in and out, or you're set up at the show. If you're just coming to buy some cards, park across the street and walk across the street, even though it's going to be hot. Save yourself the $20 if it's 3 days. That's $20 that the vendors will appreciate you having.
Exactly.
Okay, as I said, it's been an hour. We have baseball card, National Baseball Card Show duty. We do.
So hopefully everyone enjoyed today's show, and hopefully everyone enjoys the National Baseball Card Day.
And hopefully everybody enjoyed all these trips down memory lane for all of us.
Definitely.
And don't forget about the Monday Night Heat on Monday. Yeah, John, Doug, and Steph going to be on.
Yay! I'll be back.
And I'll be watching from home, which means you won't have to see me. I'll just be in the chat.
But thanks everybody. Thanks for all the viewers. Thanks for everybody in the chat. It's been a lot of fun going down memory lane. Everybody go out to support your local card shop.
And as Val said, if you don't have a local card shop, go to Wally World or go to Target and pick up these wonderful free cards that Brad showed us.
Yeah, and bring a friend if you can.
Awesome. We will see you on Monday, guys.
See you on Monday, everybody. Stay safe.
Perfect.